Despite their omnipresence, different places have very different ideas about how hopper wagons are supposed to look and function. For continental Europe, however, there is one design in particular which became the standard for most bulk loads: the saddle wagon. When the newly formed Deutsche Reichsbahn, the National Railway of Germany, renewed their depleted fleet of goods wagons after World War I, they also looked into ways to rationalize the transport of bulk cargo, like coal and coke. Starting in 1924, the Reichsbahn tested several types of newly developed wagons. While self-discharging wagons had been in use before, the new prototypes reached for the absolute limits of what was possible at the time in terms of loading gauge and payload, with little concerns about other aspects you might want to add, leading to very bulky and in every way modern-looking wagon designs. The most promising of the prototypes was the so-called Sattelwagen, German for saddle wagon, built by Ohrenstein und Koppel, a company I already made a video about some time ago. So, in 1927, serial production began. But why are they actually called Sattelwagen? Where's the saddle? Rather than having a level floor like conventional wagons, the floor is angled up by 50 degrees on both sides, creating a triangle shape looking from the front, forming the name-giving saddle, which enables the load to discharge easily as soon as the large side doors on the lower half of the wagon are unlocked. In the middle, the body is divided by another smaller saddle, mounted at a right angle on top of the main saddle for additional stability. Hence, the 2 unloading doors per side. The top structure of the body follows the maximum of the loading gauge closely and even crops out over the buffers to maximize the available space. The resulting enormous capacity of 75 cubic meters, however, also leads to an enormous weight. Weighing empty between 20 and 21 tons, they were allowed to carry up to 57 tons, compared to the merely 20 tons of a traditional open wagon of the time with about the same length, making the use of 4 axles necessary, but at the same time also prohibiting the use of bogies, as bogies are quite heavy by themselves. Therefore, to save weight, all 4 axles were mounted directly to the frame, resulting into poor running, especially in curves, and restricting the speed to 50 km per hour, while having a very limited route availability due to their still high axle load. As the large side doors, once unlocked, are pushed open by the weight of the load, it is not possible to only partially unload this wagon type, making it only really useful for bulk loads carried from sender to receiver as one unit. But for that, these wagons proved to be very efficient. Furthermore, about a century ahead of their time, the saddle wagons were all equipped with automatic Scharfenberg couplings. This was done despite the weight of the formed trains not exceeding the maximal load supported by conventional couplings. After all, locomotives were coupled to these wagons through regular couplings anyway, and also the advantage of faster coupling and uncoupling couldn't be really utilized due to the use in block trains. When in the early 1930s, welding technology had progressed enough to be used for wagon building, a welded version of the saddle wagon was developed, resulting into significant weight savings. Ultimately, the fixed axles could now be replaced with proper bogies. In this form, saddle wagons were built in large numbers during World War II, still with automatic couplers. Only towards the end of the war, they were replaced by the material-saving and simpler conventional screw couplings, marking the final stage of development until 1945. After the war, the Deutsche Bundesbahn in West Germany used many of the inherited coal hoppers for iron ore, marking them with the iconic Erz 3D lettering. Erz is a German word for ore. While the last examples of the pre-1945 saddle wagons were withdrawn in the early 1970s, the basic design, with countless detail differences of course, is still employed today and for many continental European countries has become the standard for bulk loads like coal, coke or iron ore. A very special thank you goes to my channel members Dave Heise, Flip Schwip, Kay Frankley and Lukas Ilskens for making these videos possible. If you want to become a member yourself, or prefer to tip me on Ko-fi, you can find both links in the video description. I hope you found this spotlight on one of Germany's many specialized wagons informative. What wagon type would you like to see a video about next? Please let me know. And if you want to know more about the company who initially developed the saddle wagon, here is my video about it. See you next time here at Steel Bridge Models.